Okay, here we go. This is all the apps that I have open on my phone. Today was a bad day. This is to demonstrate app equity, I guess, or quality from hacking. Your phone can get hacked. My Signal is it's on safe mode, basically. So you can't do certain things on this phone. But I have nsopw.gov open. So here's the information. This is the Drew Sojin National Sex Offender Public website, NSOPW app. So, you could look at all the offenders. And I mean, you would think it would be more secure. Equitably, your signal shouldn't be hacked because these are like the easier signals to get hacked. But all of them, they'll share an identical key or foreign key, like a database. So, you technically wouldn't be able to hack it because it would be secure and password protected, or it would be protected by a user interface where the person would input like a fingerprint or something else. So, this is a demonstration basically. So, I have NSOPW app open, and you would go to jail if you're a sex offender. You would go to jail for using this application or the website. There's laws about this. Okay, so I have EC Tool Pro. This is an adult application. It would work, for video cameras or accessories. So would VTech Company devices and cams, and these are all for adults featured video cameras. So it's basically like the general signal, right? So I have that open, and then I also have all the FBI apps open. So that's NSAF app open, and that's for detailing art that's been stolen. Child ID for children. You can input database information from your child to the FBI. Thought that was kind of weird that a phone could make any desegregation like signal happen, and that's like even in ad space. Like you don't want to see crazy ads, but again, this is not the first time this has happened. This is bank robbers. Probably don't want to get your signals crossed by bank robbers, but this is how MOT works and ROT works. They're genuine like cryptography signals. So these are how they work. And then the dashboard for the FBI is open. Okay. And then I have FBI Wanted open. So that's just a quick preview of the applications you could have reinserts or inserts in a computer system. And it has to do with pen testing, yes, but again, it has to do with hardware. Like when you look at all the apps you could have, and you could have quite a ton of apps. You could have like Calculator 84, and you could download it multiple times, even though the system processor works together. And with system like Calculator 84 from TI, they communicated with each other. Was a system that did that with that model, and then it demonstrated a lot of programming concepts, basically, and like R language and things like that were developed from them. It doesn't disregard like any technical error or app that's causing this signal crash or feature or whatever you want to call it. You can even have crypto sites on here, and that's just money. That's all that is, money. But you could look through, multiple signals, multiple things. Could your phone crash? This seems a lot faster than a computer. There's technically the idea that like RAM is flawed in a phone, but again, that's with virtual memory, and Google has a great factor to deal with some of that development. So it's a good question. Google doesn't have a platform to even test those features. So it's a good question. But if you do every app and you get the same results, whether that's like something like signal ignorance or DSP or something like that, or just something that doesn't make sense flat out, you would probably blame your technology. And that makes a lot of sense. So you can even have TI like applications for different things. Norton is an example. Security on, identity on, privacy not on. But it'll happen whether or not it's on privacy. Compass is a good point for a phone. Compass can malfunction and it can cause problems. I don't think that one has been developed. Camera a little bit more. But there's a good question about these applications and data. The grocery store or this application called League, they could be not so good. Like the imprinted software they use maybe not so good. Maybe owned by the same company that doesn't do the same things databasing wise. like they might not include features. It's very dangerous. And I mean, like when you get into the range of like what this application does, I mean, it might not be suitable. I mean, for the Vons app, that anybody can get a application for delivery service if it's not owned by a company, and then they could become a driver. That's a foreign worker. That could be anybody with a fake ID. Plus, there's accounts being sold all the time. Even a nuclear signal. We got a nuclear signal app here. This doesn't survive like the destructibility or disintegration of signals. It could be just like the question of like parameter, and that's probably the biggest question about computing, which is parameter. You fluctuate and compute at the same time. It's like a foreign node. A function key. They relate, right? But they compare, they contrast, they do all sorts of things. It's like kind of a database type set. So basically, it's like $100 bill. Like if you cut it in half, you got to tape it together somehow. So this is what I see in this. And I mean, you could even have this application here. You could have recreation department from the U.S. government. That's an official application. I think that's developed by Booz Allen Hamilton. So you got to think, what could you do with this feature? You could even buy a gift card. That probably wouldn't work the same. You have your name on an account, it wouldn't work. But the database question like goes a long way. How does someone organize without a database? You can't organize without a database. So the question is like, how do you get into a database you cannot get into? So in one like construct, you could do a simple thing like you could go to Tumblr. Tumblr is meant for adults and kids. I mean, sure, it has some ups and downs, but I mean, you could certify your profile. Like I have a profile here, YouTube page, just some images, Juicegen, and then making Kenka, and then there's an ad, Central Beach ads. That's a strange one. Or corn growing from the ground in Southwest United States, kind of crazy. Was my delivery driver a killer, drug dealer, kidnapper, or arsonist on drugs, a pedophile, or a hacker? Strange than images of not eating food. So just kind of strange. You become an outcast. You could add a bunch of groups. You could add shelter lists. You could instigate. You could make radio signals. You could try to spread news. So I mean, unless this app crash is to do with panic attacks or what would be considered panic signal, I mean that really crosses the line, right? So you would think a signal like this would be considered a Mayday signal. I mean, it has a nuclear signal, it has communication, it has all sorts of signals, testing signals, recreational signals, every type of signal, religion, regional, all sorts. So you could ask, what's the deal? Why would a communication device fail, crash, and not work? That's the point of it. So, I mean, you could go on, the list goes on, you could ask questions, you could not do wrong things. I mean, you could ask, why would your application crash, but server not work, properly? So, that's a good question. I mean, you could go into YouTube videos, explain, why your communication crashed. And then you could, do that all day. You still won't get a result. So, this is technically, how strange, this concept is. So this is just kind of a review. This is the iPhone 11, by the way, but I'm pretty sure if you get down to all the applications or, all the systems or, all the OSs or devices, you're going to find it might be user inputted. It might just be someone with a user account who's in authority access has done all these things. And, I'm not going to disagree. I mean, you can go onto Facebook and I can show you right now my personal Facebook account. And, there we go, an ad apparently. Oh, yeah, an ad. You can go into groups. You could try managing groups. So let's see what groups I have here. These are the groups I have. Still no members, but still a problem. So I know for a fact, like some of these groups won't show up in somebody else's system unless they look them up, or maybe it will take the system time to load or adjust or something like that. But the question is, defiance properties, quality, stake, And I mean, some of it has to do with business, and that's a big argument. And so the structure, in time goes on. It's a little bit of project management, but how much and at what cost, can the system run without doing anything? I mean, you can put a journal app out. Apple just did that. So I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, a lot of this has to do with testing. So you wouldn't be able to test from one place to another, chemicals or food for that matter. That's a real problem. So I mean, you take the apps out. I mean, you don't really get much. So that's probably the principle of the thing.